Hello, Wisconsin. Welcome to this week's episode of the Project Pitch It podcast. This week, we are going to talk to Mackenzie Edinger. She started Inclusion Coffee Company in the Heartland, Wisconsin area, kind of the Lake Country area. An amazing story. Starting that coffee company kind of right out of school, which is impressive. And then her goal is about 50% of her staff is going to be filled with individuals with disabilities. Unbelievable. So having a big impact on those people, their families, the community, just really cool stuff. And, another coffee shop is always nice. Who doesn't love coffee? So had a great time talking to her. You're going to hear a lot about her story, kind of how driven she is to do this, and some examples of the impact that she's having on people. So with that, on to the show. Hello, Mackenzie. Thank you for joining us today on the show. So quick overview for everybody. You have started Inclusion Coffee Company, which is amazing, and we will talk about all the details, but super high level overview. Do I call it a coffee shop, a restaurant? What do I call it?
Yeah, I mean, we always call it a coffee shop. So
coffee shop.
Yeah.
We'll go coffee shop. So a coffee shop in Heartland, and what you've got going is your goal is at least 50% of your staff is going to be individuals with disabilities, which is, again, amazing. We will dive into that in a ton of detail. But before we get into the business, I want to learn a little bit more about you. So tell us kind of your background from where you grew up all the way through college, maybe.
Yeah, so I grew up in the Lake Country area, which is actually kind of where Inclusion Coffee is. So kind of staying around home, a lot of community members. I mean, we're all familiar with each other, which is cool. I went to Kettle Moraine High School and then went to Whitewater for early childhood and special ed. I always knew that I wanted to kind of work with kids. My goal was to be a teacher. My cousin was a teacher. I just kind of wanted to follow in her footsteps. And then after I graduated with my undergrad, I was like, okay, maybe I want to be a teacher for a little bit and then do some more like higher stuff, maybe some admin. So I got a degree in educational administration from UW-Madison. Both of those degrees kind of got me to where I am. Obviously not teaching in a school setting, but we're definitely teaching in a different way at the coffee shop. So yeah.
Did you work as a teacher at any point before transitioning to this?
A couple months. I did like some maternity leave subs, so like long-term sub positions, but never a full-time teacher. No, I was still actually finishing college when we opened the shop, so no time to be a teacher in between.
You are a machine. That's incredible. So how do I ask this the right way? Where did the idea come from? Like, do you have any personal connection to a specific individual with disability, or more just a holistic goal? Any background there? Why Inclusion Coffee?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I went to school for early childhood and special ed. Always kind of wanted to work with that population and kind of make them known that they have the same skills we do, might just learn a little bit differently. And then I nannied a boy when I was in high school that had Down syndrome. And now he's actually one of my employees, which is cool to kind of see a full circle. But just, I mean, I didn't really have like my family doesn't have any direct like correlation to anyone with a disability, but just kind of the outside people that I met through high school as well.
Very good. Yeah, and then the kind of specific person with the inspiration, that makes sense too. And he works for you now. Yeah,
he does. He was my first hire, which is cool for him too. I mean, he's on the back of all our coffee bags as well. Kind of just showing that story of how we met, and now he has a job with me, so it's fun.
Amazing. Did you, outside of teaching, did you have any history in working at a coffee shop, working at a restaurant, anything like that before you started Inclusion Coffee?
Yeah, I managed 3 restaurants. I never worked in coffee. I knew nothing about coffee. So when I decided to open this, I mean, I had to find people that knew coffee. It is quicker. It's easier to learn than you think. I learned in like a day and a half, just in case they were sick. I had to know. So, but no, I did not ever work at Starbucks or any little coffee shop before. So that was a learning experience in itself.
Okay. But you manage restaurants, so you knew, because you guys do coffee and food in the restaurant, so you knew a little bit about the food side of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I got you. So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but you graduate school. When's the moment when you kind of officially decide, I'm going to do this? I'm going to start my own business. Is there any moment that stands out in your head?
Kind kind of just like I went to Starbucks all the time. And I just always kind of had that like, oh, there's no one working here with Down syndrome. Or there's no one. I mean, I always hate to kind of look at someone and know that, but um, you never hear about anyone with Down syndrome or autism or like anyone like that working at a Stone Creek or a Starbucks. Um, so I kind of just wanted to make that again. I know they have skills to do it. Obviously, it's a little bit of a different training process and even a hiring process, but I know that they can do it. I know they have the skills to do it. So I was like, you know what, we can do this. There's nothing like this even in our community at all. So let's try and start something.
Let's do it. You
Yeah.
make that sound easier, but that's such a huge decision. I can't believe, yeah, which we'll get into a bunch more of that. But so from the like pure tactical logistics part, you decide you're going to start your own business. What do you do next? Do you file an LLC, uh, trademarks? What were the first couple steps you took when you decided?
Well, the first place was to find a location.
Yeah.
And I just happened to like stumble upon one in the Heartland area on Facebook Marketplace. Um,
Oh,
and he
nice.
was closing down due to COVID and he was still open. So I like kind of went in there and I was just kind of looking and watching how they do things. Again, because I had no coffee experience. So I was just like watching how they do a day to day. And I was like, you know what, if this is the place that I'm gonna have, like, let's just go try it out. So I knew he was closing at in like a month or I think a month or two. So I kind of just started like getting my business plan together. Very vague, like it was nothing, not a huge deal. Um, but location was first, then I I believe it was the business plan after that.
So the
And that's
business
like,
plan, as I interrupt you, I'm just fascinated in that part because I struggled with that when we started our own business. Like, how did you do that? You start with a blank Word document? Did you have someone who helped you? What'd you do?
pretty much. I
Yeah.
kind of looked some other ones up online and pulled things from those, but our the company that we were working with didn't need anything like super in depth. So it ended up being like a page long, and it was kind of just like what our mission is, like what we're gonna do, who we're gonna hire, what our hours of operation are gonna be. Like it was nothing crazy, but that was our first step, and that was to me that was kind of like, okay, this is real. Like once we submit this,
This is
are they
happening.
gonna accept it, and it's gonna happen. So
Who's they when you say that? Who's business partner? Who you working with there?
well, it was the leasing agent and like
Oh, I
our
got you.
the
Okay.
landlord. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, that makes sense. And then from a funding perspective, I mean, money's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but this is
yeah,
going to take some money to get off the ground. How did you do that?
yeah. Luckily I had an angel investor that kind of fronted me that money and said, I can see that you're a young entrepreneur. He also did own companies when he was young as well. So he just kind of wants to see like younger individuals kind of get into this and hopefully succeed. So he was just, I mean, I couldn't do it without him. Um,
Awesome.
yeah,
And the mission's so clear. I mean, sometimes you get products or businesses where you need 10 slides to explain what you're doing and why. Yours seems so you said it pretty well in a sentence or two. So that probably
yeah,
helps from the funding side too, which is
absolutely.
cool. Um, how do you decide on a menu? And I know that's a vague question, but what that seems like a huge undertaking of what food are you going to have and what coffee? How did that process go?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I visited like a lot of coffee shops and kind of just sat in them for hours on end. After I knew I was going to do this, like stalking their menus, stalking their customers that come in, like what they want. I mean, most coffee shops have the same drinks. I mean, we have seasonal drinks, but the core menu is the same usually at most coffee shops.
Yeah,
So the coffee and drinks are similar, but our food, I mean, we use local vendors for all of our stuff. So we use Boar's Head, which a lot of people love. Um, and like a local baker that people are very familiar with. So having all of that, I think, bring more people in as well. Um, I mean, we add and take things off all the time that aren't selling or are doing really well, or we have for a special and now they're on our full menu. So it's kind of just as you go, you add things or take things off. But we had a super small menu to start, and by like week 3, it was huge.
Nice.
Just people kept saying like, "Oh, do you have this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I never even thought of that." And now like
We'll
it's one
add
of our
it.
top sellers. So yeah, it's just customer like word of mouth too, and what they want. You have to listen to the customers.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Then
Yeah.
what about, and maybe like you said, you took over an existing building, but like decorating it and kind of the feel of the physical space. How did that process work out for you?
Yeah, so luckily, like I said, I got to walk through it before he moved out, um, and kind of got to see like, oh, he has these coffee brewers here, and he had a dishwasher here. I mean, if I walked into it with nothing there and it was just empty, I probably would be more lost than I was when we walked in.
Which is what I thought. That's why my question. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I got to see like where he had everything, which helped. I mean, we pretty much had the same thing. So he took all his stuff and then we just ordered the same stuff in
I
and
gotcha.
put it in pretty much the same spot.
So he did clear everything out. So you still had to make
Yeah,
all
we had
those
to get
decisions.
everything. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we changed a few things. Like he didn't do a ton of food, so we had like a way bigger food line, and um, yeah. So, but like I did get to see like his layout, which helped. Otherwise, I it would be a disaster.
Overwhelmed, which is what
Yeah,
I thought, and hence the question. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
Then one of the hardest things for me in starting a business was website and marketing. I know that's real tactical again, but what have you done? How did you develop your website, and what have you done for marketing to get the word out there?
yeah. So right, I mean, before we even opened, I think we launched like our Facebook page like months before, kind of like getting the community excited and like anticipating what's to come. Um, and I know not everyone has Facebook, but that's kind of where we started and it's taken off from there.
Hmm.
We do have an Instagram now, but a lot of like email blasts and Facebook, I think were like our first marketing tactics to get like people excited and know what's going on.
That
Um,
makes sense. So mostly social media to this point.
yeah, I would say social
Okay.
media for sure. But our website, I mean, you kind of have to find out like what people like. Like when you go to a website, what do you look for? Um, but always the basics, like our menu. We have like a bunch of pictures on there now that kind of show like our day to day and who's working there and who the employee of the month is. So we switch that out every month. And then obviously contact information and how they can get a hold of us. But I just like to see like when I go to a website, I want to see pictures and I don't know the menu. Those are
Yeah,
like my
yeah,
two things. So
the menu being the huge one, and then yeah, I was on your
yeah,
website last night, and the pictures are cool because you do have this great story, and you want to tell the background of the employees working there. Yeah, your websites looked really nice when I was on it last night. Hence the
yeah. Thank
question.
you.
So that's good. Um, so you correct me if I'm wrong. You're a solo founder. You said you have the angel investor, but you did this on your own. A lot of it.
Yep. Yeah.
Who do you go to for advice though when you need bounce an idea off someone?
Yeah, a lot of mentors. I mean, people I've worked with at other restaurants that I know have either been in a ton of restaurants themselves or worked in business. I didn't go to school for business, so I don't really know that side of it. But like I said before, I know like the restaurant side and how to work with our staff. And I've also hired a lot of people on that also know how to work with our staff. So I mean, and Google. I mean, I
Oh
use
yeah.
Google a lot when we were trying to I was opening up. So, but yeah, I would say just like a lot of mentors that know about business and just like fall on people that you can trust and that know because there's a lot of people out there that can help.
And like you said, Heartland and the Lake Country area being kind of small town, you've probably seen the same thing I have up in the Green Bay area. People are so willing to help. If you
Yeah.
just ask, like people are so
Hmm.
nice and willing to help, and it sounds like you've followed a similar path.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. Again, on the solo founder question, kind of, how do you maintain a work life balance? I feel like so much going on. How do you stay sane in all this?
Yeah. So we actually almost next week Tuesday actually is a year. So I mean, we're still in
Oh,
those
nice!
early stages,
Congratulations.
I say. Thank you. That you
Yeah.
can't really leave work at work. I mean, it's your whole life. But once we're closed for the day, so after 5 o'clock, I try to enjoy like my life outside of work and do some other things. I mean, I'm not usually there till 5, but you still have to answer the phone if they call or help if they need anything. So it's kind of after that 5 o'clock, I know I'm kind of free for the day. But um, even if I'm not there, you're always like thinking about, is it busy? Like, do I need to walk in and help? Or um, if I go on vacation, are they going to need me? Is someone going to call in sick? So you're always thinking about it, but you have to try to enjoy like the time that you're not there.
That makes sense. And if it's, I mean, something you're obviously passionate about, working a lot can be okay at times because
Right.
you're really into it and passionate and you
Mm-hmm.
care. So work doesn't always feel like work.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Um, I would think along the journey, there's probably some crazy rewarding moments with what you're doing and the way you're impacting people's lives. Anything stick out to you of a moment where you're like, wow, this is really happening. I'm having an impact.
Yeah, I remember the first time one of the parents of a staff member came in, and I mean, we're trying to teach them how to be independent. So, like I always say, I'm not teaching them how to read and write, but I'm teaching them how to put the dishes in the dishwasher the right way or have great customer service so they can have a conversation with someone they see at the store. Um, but like one of the parents said, like now he's never put his dishes away, but now after dinner he'll go and clean up his dishes and put them away in the dishwasher, which is just a small thing, but something that we teach every day that they're finally kind of starting to learn and doing these tests at home to help their parents. That maybe their parents even thought like they can't do that. Well, yes, they can. It took us 3 months to get here, but now they can do it and now they can help you at home too. So just like those little things, and it makes me feel that all the work we're doing is actually working, and even though it takes longer, they can still do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Maybe I didn't think about it. Of course, the effect it has on the individual working there, but maybe on their family too. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
a wider sphere I didn't really think about.
Right, especially
Very
because a
cool.
lot of them are still working or not working but living at home. um,
Yeah,
so they have both those work and their home life too.
that makes sense. Yeah. All right. So this is the Project Pitch It podcast. I've got to ask you about the Project Pitch It experience. Where did the idea come to apply for that show?
Yeah, so one of my high school administrators got an email from the person that was reaching out and trying to find um, contestants for the show. And the school administrator had actually reached out to me. She's like, "Hi, I just got this email. Like, I was wondering if you would want to apply for this TV show." And I was like, "I do not want to be on TV. I'm not. I'm not going to do that." And I was like, "Well, why not? We'll just apply for it and see what happens." Like, I was like, "We're not going to get it. Why would we get on this show?" Well, yeah, we got on, and I was like, "All right, now who do I bring? Because I'm not going alone." So I found
Yeah.
two of my coworkers that I knew that could kind of share part of their story, and um, they love the spotlight. So I was like, you know what, you guys can take it. I'll be there, kind of just to talk through things, but it's about them. So I wanted them to kind of share their part in their story as well.
Yeah, and I will say I got a sneak preview of your episode, so I have seen it, and it's awesome. Yeah, you say you weren't comfortable being on TV. You do a great job, and then
Thanks.
the two workers that are with you are really really good too. So
Awesome. I
congrats
haven't
on
even
that.
seen it, so you got to see that before
I
me.
know, I know. I'm bragging. I'm bragging that I've seen it. But yeah, it's great. And jump to the end here. But just so everyone knows, it's going to air first on Channel 12 in Milwaukee, April 15th. It's at 10:30 p.m. Then there's a rerun May 12th at 11:30 a.m. Then it airs all over the state after that. But just to give that plug for the show too. What what did you learn along the way of the Project Pitch It process? And maybe I haven't really talked about this on an episode yet. What were the steps? So after you applied, what all happened after that for the steps?
I remember getting an email back saying like we want you to audition or not audition, but like come and I don't know. I remember having to send
Yep.
like videos in of
Yep.
myself like talking about the business, and then I remember I had a few more meetings and I brought some of my employees to those Zoom calls. And then we had to go and just like record our show, and it was like one time you're done. this
Yeah.
this is going on TV. Um, but what did we learn? I
Yeah.
mean, that there's different ways to use I guess, marketing and the word of mouth to kind of promote your business. I mean, even being on this show, it's going to tell a lot more people about us. Um, I always say we don't need any more customers right now. Like we're good. But
It's a
I
good problem
mean,
to have.
it
Yeah.
is a good problem to have, but sometimes we're like,
Yeah.
okay, we just need to close the door for a day. Um,
Yeah.
but we met a lot of great people. I mean, a lot of business owners, friends. We have people coming in that were on the show with us now, that met us when we were there. So kind of just seeing how other small businesses run and where all these
Yeah.
people come from is kind of cool to see as well.
Yeah. It it's interesting to hear you say they won't choose me, because when I think of your business, I'm like, of course they're going to choose you. It's awesome. It's a great story. But I think the takeaway I have, because I thought the same when we applied, is like, for other people starting, like, shoot your shot, try.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think no, they're not going to take me, you might not be right. So try all these different avenues. It sounds like you kind of learned that same lesson along the way.
Right. And I remember reading something and it was like for new businesses. And I'm like, well, we've been open for 8 months. Like we're not really a
Right.
new business. So I was like, oh, we won't get on. But I remember just like recording myself in my room, like talking about it
Yeah.
and then just sending it in. I'm like, well, we'll see. We'll see if we get the email back. But
And here we are, episode
here we
about to
are.
air. Yeah,
Yeah.
very,
Right.
very cool. Without giving away your prize, because we want that to be kind of a surprise when people see the show, everyone gets a cash prize as part of the show. What has that meant to you? What kind of impact does that cash have for your business?
Yeah. We're hoping to expand. I mean, that's been a goal
Hmm.
kind of almost since we opened, when we saw like the need obviously for this in our community, whether that be franchising or using it towards something else to just like expand or make things quicker in the shop, um, more marketing, even maybe to spread awareness to show other people that like what inclusion is and how to include other people, just even in their daily lives. So just using that to kind of just spread awareness and hopefully expand shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the franchising makes sense that you're
Yeah.
having a lot of impact in the one location, but this same thing applies all over Wisconsin, all over the country. So who knows? If
Right.
you're overwhelmed with one shop, we'll just give you like 500.
I know. One's enough.
For,
I mean, I can't be in two places at
one's,
once. So,
one's enough right now. That's true.
yeah.
I'm going to steal a number that I heard you say on the show. 150 applicants waiting list you have right now. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Tell us more
we
about that.
closed it. Yeah, we closed it. I
Yeah.
mean, cuz we've had a full staff since we opened, pretty much, but
Yeah.
I mean, if we kept it open, we'd probably be over 200, 250 by now.
Wow.
Um and that just shows like the need for this. So,
Yeah.
to open another location would be awesome. I'd love to do it right next door because there's so many people in this area that obviously want a job and want to be in this field, and to help.
Yeah.
But we have about 20 employees working right now.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, I would love to have all 150 people work, and kind of get the same experience that our 20 employees are getting.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. That wait list probably has to kind of leave you emotionally torn, that it's awesome that there's that much need,
Right.
and yet, gosh, you will want to have more, hence the franchising point, I guess.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. So what do you look like in 5 years? I know we talked on it a little bit with the franchising, but what are the next couple steps you're hoping to do? Anything else going on?
Yeah, right now we're working on, I know you mentioned trademarking earlier. We didn't do that right away, but that's something that we're working on now, hopefully getting that together in the next couple weeks. Um, and then the franchise, I mean, it takes a while. So kind of just getting our foot in the door and kind of starting to see what that looks like. Um, and where we would go, where we'd open, or maybe I think first we'd do a second location and franchise off that one. You can't really franchise off one. It doesn't really work like that. People want to see how you can run, how multiple stores will, um, gain customers and sales and all that. So,
That makes
second
sense.
location hopefully in the next year, and then franchising off that and seeing where it goes from there.
Awesome. And somewhere I saw a mention of maybe a mobile coffee cart. Is that in the cards?
Yeah, I always say like that's something that I feel like we could kind of do. Um, you just need the money for it. I mean, you buy a
Yeah.
coffee cart. We have all the staff that we need. That's where I always say we could get another coffee. We could do the mobile coffee cart and hire 10 people off that waiting list to run it. So that would be like our quickest way to like expand if we wanted to do that. It's just there's nowhere to. We're just worried about not having places to go with it. We get invited to like schools all the time, but usually it's like fairs inside, and like we can't bring a mobile coffee cart inside. So I've been going back and forth, like the pros and cons. We do have a local high school that's a marketing program that's working on everything for a mobile coffee cart for us. So when school's over for the year, we'll have all this information about what we'll need for the inside and if we need a generator and all the little things that I'm not going to think about. But they're doing all that work for us. So we'll see kind of at the end of the school year what that looks like.
Nice. Yeah, that local school, that's another thing that we've got involved in a little bit. But things like that new startups can take advantage of people that want to learn and are willing to help. And then it's kind of a win-win. You get this marketing plan out of it. They get some marketing experience. It's cool you're taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
Which is good. What is kind of a generic question, but you've been doing it about a year now. What do you wish you knew on day one about the startup process that you know now?
Well, I wanted to know everything right away, and it was hard because I didn't. Like, I didn't know. I knew nothing about what we were trying to do. So I'm like, you won't know everything. You'll learn a ton of things along the way. I mean, we opened day one, and I had like a Amazon cart of 20 things that night to get delivered the next day because there's just small things that like you don't think of that are very needed in a coffee shop. Or like things will just come to you when you're laying in bed at midnight and you'll wake up and you're like, I need to order this right now. But I always say like, you're not going to know everything. You're going to fail. Some things won't work, but just lean on your community members, lean on people that you know that can help. Don't be afraid to ask for help because you don't know everything, even though you think you might.
Yeah, as much as you want to, you don't.
Yeah.
That's very true. Is there any way that people not right in Heartland can support? Is your coffee sold anywhere else? Buy things online? What other ways do people have they can support?
Yeah, on our website, we do have all of our merch on there. I believe all of our like shirts and sweatshirts are on there along with our coffee. And we do ship it. So if you guys want anything like that, we are able to ship that to you. And we do get our coffee locally in Watertown, Wisconsin. So again, all our bags are privately labeled, have our picture on it. So I think seeing those two in the community is fun. Obviously, it doesn't look like a normal bag of coffee. It's like super bright colored. Actually, you can kind of see it behind me. There's one on my wall.
Yep. Video, yeah.
But
and your logo is cool too. I think I saw it kind of represents people with their arms together, kind of the circular people. It's a really
kind
cool
of like
logo
gathered
too.
around. Yeah, gathered around and kind of just huddling and wanting to be they're including everyone. So that's kind of how we got that.
Merchandise too.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, in closing, I guess I will brag again that I've seen your episode. And again, when I watched it last night and the workers that you bring on and they're telling their story and how impactful it was, I was getting quasi emotional just watching it. And like, I can't imagine what you feel every day with the impact you're having. Just unbelievably impressive. I think you downplay how cool and impactful that is, but that's a huge deal. Even from afar, I could feel it watching the show. So
thank you.
Congratulations for all you've done. Very, very
cool.
Thank you. Recap and a couple more plugs. So Mackenzie Edinger started Inclusion Coffee Company. That's the website, inclusioncoffeecompany.com. Social media presence, Facebook, Instagram at Inclusion Coffee Company. And again, I'll say on episode 4 of season 7 of Project Pitch It, April 15th in the Milwaukee area on channel 12 at 10:30 p.m. And then May 14th at 11:30 a.m. And then it airs all over the state after that. And then I can't brag anymore because you'll have seen it and I won't be the only one.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're so excited. I keep telling them that we're going to be on TV soon, but no one's seen it.
I'll half spoiler. It's awesome. It's very, very good. So, all right. Thank you very much for the time.
Of course. Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye. That's it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time and listening to Mackenzie and her awesome story about the Inclusion Coffee Company. And we got more to come. Lots more of the guests from season 7 of Project Pitch It. and then some more moguls, some more of even the hosts of Project Pitch It. So a lot more to come. Appreciate everyone's time. Happy to be spreading these stories of Wisconsin entrepreneurs. Thank you all very much.